What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in City Skylines in the map editor and continuing our work on the town of Portsmouth. So in the last episode, we imported a height map and built the very basic terrain of what will be our future city. And in today's episode, I want to drop in the main highway infrastructure. Now, for maps that you create, you can have 4 incoming and 4 outgoing highway connections, and that's exactly what we're going to build today. Now, one thing to be careful of is you want to spread these out a bit, so you don't want them kind of right on top of one another. You want to encourage traffic to come from different areas and disperse across your map. So don't put your incoming and outgoing highway connections too close to one another. I'm going to be building the highways as parallel as I can. The parallel road tool, for whatever reason, is not working for me in the map editor. I've had it be very hit or miss. So I find that the freeform tool works best for being able to kind of create highways that snake around the terrain a little bit, but still are relatively close to one another. And then we can use the Move It mod to kind of tighten up some of those gaps in certain spots. So again, this is a very long process that took me to kind of fine tune all this. So I've time-lapsed it here, but I'll just show you some of the highlights. When you're building these connections, the outgoing ones are pretty simple. You just drag a highway off to the edge of the map, and that creates an outgoing connection. To create an incoming connection, though, you have to drag from off the map coming in. So if you create your highways kind of parallel, running them the same direction at first, and drag them both off the map, you'll have to delete the very last segment and then redraw that coming into the map. And I've done that here, and then basically reverse the direction on the rest of the highway. I decided to drop in one of the turbine interchanges for the main highway interchange in this area, which is where 95 meets Route 4. 95 is a highway that runs all along the eastern seaboard from Maine all the way down to Florida, and it's a major interchange in the area, so I wanted to be able to support a lot of traffic on that. Now, although I would have preferred to use, say, the 2-lane highway for something like Route 4, just to kind of switch things up a bit, I'm not using, or at least I'm hoping I didn't accidentally use any of the mass transit highways, because I want to make this map accessible to anybody regardless of what DLC they have. So if you have the base game, you should be able to play this map if you're on PC, and once it's all done, I'll post it up on the workshop for those of you that are interested and want to maybe build your own city in this map of Portsmouth. Now, I dropped in a couple T-intersections as well to kind of funnel traffic off these highways into some of the main areas, and there's 3 main areas that I want to focus on at first. One is the eastern coastal area. There's another piece to the kind of northeast section of the town, which is sectioned off by a highway and the river. And then to the left of that is a nice flat area where Portsmouth International Airport at Pease is located. And we'll be able to drop in, our international airport, our cargo hub, things like that. So this episode, again, is all about creating those highway connections, incoming and outgoing, providing some of the basic infrastructure, and then providing some on and off ramps to work with when first building up the city. Of course, we'll be adding more as we go, but these are kind of the 3 main ones that I wanted to focus on. Now, when I'm in here building these highways too, one other thing that I use the Move It mod for is not just for keeping the highways parallel, but also keeping them level. So I've used the Align Height tool quite a few times to kind of flatten out some of the bumpier segments of the highway. Basically what you can do there is highlight a bunch of nodes in the highway, click the little up arrow in the bottom right of the interface, select the Align Height button, and then the next node that you click on, it's going to flatten all those selected nodes to that height, whether it's raising it up or bringing it back down. And that just gives it a much smoother look and feel, so that the highway, again, is not all bumpy, and we have these more natural transitions. That'll do 2 things too. It will modify the terrain around the highway, so it will either lift the terrain up with it or carve a little valley out of the terrain. And if you pay attention to highways in your local area, unless you're in the Midwest where it's totally flat, you'll certainly see that kind of mounding around the highway. But again, this episode was a really long one to record and kind of fine-tune and tweak everything. But I've gone ahead and shortened it just to kind of give you an idea of what that kind of second stage of creating the map was with the basic infrastructure. In the next episode, we're going to do a ton of work to kind of start to decorate and fill in resources on the map. Trees really kind of make the area come alive. I'm going to do mostly conifers because that's what you would see up in the Northeast. especially as we get up into New Hampshire and Maine, then you're definitely going to see a lot more conifers. So we'll use those heavily to kind of fill in some of the gaps in the map and remind us kind of where the population isn't. So I won't kind of fill in trees where the main population centers are, but I will use it to kind of fill in some of the gaps and kind of imply where people would not be living. We'll also drop in a little bit of farming here or there, but it's not going to be a very farm, oil, or ore heavy map. Forestry will definitely be a great option. I don't want to negate those other aspects of industry, but it's also not really the focus of this area. You know, it's a seaport town and a small one at that. So we're going to try and kind of stay true to the original inspiration. But again, when we start building up the city, aside from the basic infrastructure, I'm really going to kind of let it go free flow and just kind of do what feels right at the time. So in the next episode, we'll fill in all the resources, we'll add some shipping and air connections, and I think we'll round it out in the next episode, but maybe 2 tops. Then we'll have a nice working, well-rounded map with all the different resources, all the different connections. I don't want to let anybody feel left out. So if shipping is your thing, if airports are your thing, there'll be connections for everything. All that we are required to have to build a map, we have at this point. You need to have some sort of water source in the starting tile. You have to have at least 1 incoming and 1 outgoing highway connection. Other than that, it is totally up to you, but we're going to build in a little bit of everything so that you have access to trains, to shipping, to planes, and then of course resource areas for oil, forest, fertile farmland, and ore. So again, I'm hoping to wrap all that up in the next episode, but I have a feeling it might take me 2 more episodes to finish this map. Or at least get it in a pretty decent spot where I'm willing to share it and let other people start building on it. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is kind of different from my normal videos. 1, I tend to build a lot on console. 2, I don't get into the creative side of things too much, but I really wanted to start this town of Portsmouth and do something different from one of the built-in maps. So hopefully you are along for the ride and enjoying the journey, and if you are, likes, comments, and shares all help the channel a lot and are greatly appreciated. If you're new here, subscribe and consider hitting the bell to get notifications for updates in this and other series. Follow me on Twitter and join the Discord if you want to get involved in the discussion. But until the next one, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.